Tonight, possibly more than I ever have been, I am scared. Completely, utterly petrified. I didn't know that speaking in front of a group of seemingly nice strangers could be so terrifying. I'm scared of the controlled assessments and the target grades that occupy some of the darker corners of my life, and of simply just growing up. Parrots really freak me out too. I'm scared of the fact that 14-year-old Malala is shot in the head by terrorists in Pakistan, all in the name of God, because she wants to go to school and receive an education like the boys in her village do. How young men in Africa are beaten and killed and disowned by their families. Their crime, love. They are publicly executed for being gay. But a few years ago, I found a girl who taught me that it's okay to be scared sometimes. It's okay to feel completely alone and afraid because we're just humans. And this speech is for her. When I was a slightly smaller and less moody 9-year-old, my parents gave me a book. Now, this was not just an ordinary book. This was a copy of a diary that had belonged to a girl, not unlike every single person in this hall today, almost 70 years ago. And as I turned each page of that book, I saw that girl grow and live and laugh and love. Her name was Anne Frank. I would hazard a slight guess that most people in this room have heard of Anne Frank, and because of the fact that she was Jewish, she and the rest of her family had to move from Germany, a place where, at the time she was alive, Jews made up less than 1% of the entire population, to Amsterdam in Holland. Simply because one scared little man managed to convince one scared little nation that Jews and anyone else who didn't quite fit in with his ideas of society weren't worth it. They didn't deserve to live. But that scared little man showed us something. He showed us what scared humans can and will do to one another. I've often been taught that Anne Frank is an inspiration, someone who survived even in the bitterest of conditions, and maybe that is true. But from the day that she arrived in the little annex in Amsterdam, aged 13, to the day that she finally wasted away completely in the concentration camp called Bergen-Belsen, Anne Frank was just an ordinary girl who felt scared and alone sometimes, who probably didn't want to be defined by her hardships and her struggles. She didn't want to die. Anne Frank was exactly like every single person in this room, and had her father, Otto Frank, not returned to that little annex in Amsterdam all those years later, and hadn't uncovered his youngest daughter's diary, she would just be a footnote, a statistic amongst the 1 million Jewish children who died during that Holocaust. But that won't stop her from being Anne Frank, a girl with a diary and a dream. But he did find it, and now we know her story. And now I know. It's okay to be scared sometimes. We live in a world where murders and rapes and injustices and holocausts happen on a regular basis. But sometimes we just have to remember, once there was a little girl who, like us, lived in an insanely terrifying world. But in spite of that, she grew and lived, and she laughed and she loved, just like the rest of us.